In this video, I'm not just going to tell you how to build trust in a team, I'm actually going to show you how to build trust in a team. In particular, my co-founder at We and Me, who we also wrote this book, Ask Powerful Questions, Create Conversations That Matter Together, is going to facilitate this exercise. In fact, in like a handful of seconds, I'm gonna cut to a live workshop of Will actually facilitating this activity with a group that you can immediately steal and take and apply to build a level of trust in your group. Let's let Will get into it. Now, I want to acknowledge that answering the question, how to build trust in a team, is a big question. This is one video that you'll have one really practical exercise to take away with. And then at the end of that exercise, Will also uses a really brilliant quick debrief method, which you can steal and adapt as well. One of the reasons I'm choosing to share this particular exercise is we recently facilitated a workshop with 300 people. And at the end, when we asked people what was really useful, what stuck out to you, the most common thing that people said, oh, this was a huge little brain explosion, was this exercise. Simple nuance on something that might be familiar, but it can, when framed well, help build and establish a culture of trust in your own team and organization.
As a little bit of a background, so there's this activity that's really shows up on Zoom a lot that people are using, they're picking up as a tool and they're using. And I think if we just make it just a few degrees different, we can create a very different context. So a little bit of background is Chad went off into the woods one time on a silent retreat, and he came out and he said, Will, I'm excited to share with you that I found my life's purpose: to gently eradicate small talk on the planet. And I was like, ooh, I'll sign up with you on that. Let's do that. And this next activity generally leads to small talk. But if we shift it just a little bit, there's a way that depth shows up with it. And those of you who know me know that I want to have conversations that have meaning and that have depth. And so that you might know this activity is 2 truths and a lie. And you might have done this activity, which is cool. But when the activity is over, what have we discovered? Who the good liar is. And that becomes more important than what we just learned about each other. And so a slight modification that I developed too many years ago, is 2 truths and a dream. So instead of talking about a lie, you talk about a dream. 2 truths and a dream. Now there's a trick with this. You play it like 2 truths and a lie, but the trick is that when you speak it, you need to speak them all in the same tense, because you're doing a little bit of backwards and a little bit of forward. So you got to figure out which tense you want to speak in. I tend to speak in past tense, but you could speak them all in forward tense. It doesn't matter. Future tense, I guess, is what English majors call it. So what's going to happen is you're going to have an opportunity to come some silent time to think of what you might share that is true for you and that is a dream for you. And when we go off into breakout rooms, you'll get a chance to share. Now we've got a lot of people, and Chad and I have discovered that when we have about 350 people, that we tend to break breakout rooms. It doesn't actually work. You only got 50 breakout rooms. So Chad's gonna look at the number of people that we have here and make a best guess when we go off into breakout rooms. And when we go to breakout rooms, you'll start in alphabetical order, just because it's easier. And you're gonna have a bigger room. There'll be more people than you typically would do this with. It's really good to do it with 3 or 4 people. You might have more than that. And you'll have roughly 7 to 10 minutes. Somehow we'll look at the time and make a decision somewhere about that amount of time. But right now, what I want you to do is to listen to my example. Chad might come on and try to guess with me. And then you'll have some quiet time to come up with your examples. So Chad, here's you think you know me, but see which one of these is my dream. I opened up a helped facilitate opening up a spiritual center in Southern California. I helped facilitate a all-women's retreat in New York. And I helped political leaders facilitate a climate change conversation in Switzerland?
I think your dream is to help facilitate in Switzerland.
It's true. I facilitated a healing retreat in Switzerland and in Italy, but not political leaders. And I think that would be so much fun.
I love it. Okay, one of the experiments I wanted to try is to try to break Zoom a little bit. So I am gonna do the max amount, or almost the max amount of breakout rooms, which Will and I have found about half the time break Zoom. So I just keep wanting to find out if they're gonna be better, and when a client pays us a lot of money to lead a live virtual conference, I don't want it to break then, but I'm okay experimenting now because you've all accepted the role of guinea pigs for a moment. So we're gonna try 49 breakouts, which will be 4 to 5 people in each breakout rooms. 2 truths and a dream.
Chad, before you hit send, how much time are we giving them?
You tell me, because we wanted to actually experiment with how long this exercise took organically. So let's call, based on where we're at with time, let's call 6 minutes in these rooms, which might not get you all the way through, but we might ask you when you come back how many people you got through. No need to rush. The intention is actually just to connect and to connect with yourself here too. The experience of actually sharing 2 truths and a dream and actually verbalizing that is kind of an interesting exercise in and of itself.
And so notice how this might shift if you've ever played 2 truths and a lie. Notice how it shifts in the room. And so just be present to that and see how you might show up differently. And give yourself roughly a minute each and try to keep it passing on within that minute. All right, Chad. Remember, try to do it in alphabetical order so you don't have that awkward, like, who goes next?
Better than cross your fingers. Look at the camera really close and cross your eyes. And 3, 2, 1. Here we go. It's working. It's working. It's really working. So I think everybody's being portaled back now. There's the dynamic always with breakouts. That when you do them with such a large group and smaller numbers, that it's a little bit of a dice roll of who's gonna end up in what breakout. And so it's super important to do something to turn all those clicks and all those hopefully good but potentially not great experiences and pull them all back into the collective. And so Will's gonna debrief us and bring us back right now.
So welcome back. Generally, when we teach people how to do connection before content, we say when you bring them back to the group of a whole, ask this question: what struck you? And what struck you is a great conversation because it allows the thinkers to respond from their brain. It allows the feelers to respond from their heart, and you get a whole picture. Another way to do it is to complete a sentence. So you start the sentence and allow them to complete. And so the sentence we would like you to complete is, what I learned about myself is. What I learned about myself is ... And then you get to complete that. And because I'm partial to other people who have names that start with W, if your name starts with W or X, Y, and Z, and anything at the end of the alphabet, go ahead and unmute yourself and share with all of us what's something that you learned about yourself in participating in that.
I learned that your heart speaks when you're still enough to listen to it.
Nice. Thank you, Nicole. That's beautiful. That should be on a bumper sticker.
I'm going to write it down so I remember.
How about some
Learned
others?
that phrasing a dream like a fact kind of feels like lying.
Yes.
I learned after the activity, I wanted to learn more about everybody else. I wanted to know where everybody was from and what they do and wanted to go deeper.
You found your curiosity turned on and you wanted to follow it. Beautiful.
I learned I'm more adventurous than I think I am.
I learned no matter how alone you think you are and wanting to do good, there's a lot more people out there trying to do a lot of good stuff.
Nice. That's nice to hear that.
Yeah, is it like this is the best news station, right? Get your news from right now. This is what's happening in the world.
Especially when our intent is elevating humanity and amplifying connection, belonging, and trust, right? Let's hear a couple more.
I learned that
Go ahead, Wendy.
I learned that everybody has dreams, and you need to remember that.
I learned a few more items for my bucket list.
Nice. She added to her bucket list. I love that.
Some of the dreams phrased so positively, it was like a positive affirmation. I felt like, you know, some of the dreams I heard were definitely going to come true someday.
Nice, Dana. And so one thing about Two Truths and a Dream is that in many ways makes it so the group feels compelled to actually help each other move toward reaching what those dreams are. When I have a conversation that's around lying, there's a way like, ooh, I know who I want to negotiate with. But when I have a conversation about a dream, there's a way of like, ooh, I want to help you in some way, even if it's just listening to what your dream is and being curious about that, that helps elevate and push us forward.
Simple, subtle, but extremely powerful, right? If you enjoyed that, your brain will explode in a good way at all the other resources and videos on the channel. If you're interested in really concrete tools to build connection, belonging, and trust, we created this box specifically to amplify connection, belonging, and trust. It's got a copy of our book, Ask Powerful Questions, along with 2 card decks that are really practical tools for leaders and educators to use to help make connection, engagement, and trust really easy. I'm Chad Littlefield. Have an awesome day.